Welcome to the Beacon Way podcast, hosted by award-winning executive team of Beacon Media and Marketing. With over 3 decades of experience, Adrienne, Jennifer, and Ken give you an insider's view of what's working, what's not, and what's on the horizon for digital marketing. Grow your business today with the Beacon Way podcast. And if we're going to do the humble brag about Beacon and why I'm very proud of the team we're creating here is the level of trust and respect that is amongst this group, but then also as that ripples into our entire team, allows for that conflict to be really constructive because there is that level of trust and respect. So even if we get into a meeting, and we've had plenty of those where, Jen, you and I are completely different sides of this perspective, and we just push and push. But then it seems like slowly but surely we chip away at this thing and the pressure creates a diamond at the end of it. And then we're both really happy. But it's that constant back and forth. When we were all together just here a couple of weeks ago, there was that debate that we had when we were doing the entrepreneurial versus corporate in organizations. And you and I were completely different perspectives on it. And we push and push. And I remember afterwards being like, oh my gosh, I was so glad that we pushed so hard on both ends because we were both really happy with the outcome. But without trust and respect, it's the bedrock. It would make that difficult for a lot of organizations. So I recommend for people that are listening in that understand that you have to get to trust and respect so you can create that conflict.
Well, and one of the things that I think to build trust quicker, because Jen and I, we've got 12 years of running into each other and almost, trying to figure out why did we run into each other? And Ken, you graciously come into this world, and I can't imagine that is super easy coming into such a tight partnership already. But one of the really cool things about it is, again, coming back to that common language, without that common understanding of how people communicate, what ends up happening is we just end up offending each other, and we can't go into deeper trust because we assume. It's a natural thing in human nature. We assume. And so even something as simple as how fast we talk to each other. This was one of the big ones for me as I was mentoring and really learning a lot about communication styles. I'm a fast talker. I want to get to the bottom line. And when I'm talking to somebody who's an engineer or a nurturer, that's offensive that I'm talking so fast and they feel like I'm running over them. Now, all three of us talk pretty dang fast. So that was not one that we have so much, but this was an amazing thing for trust with some of our engineer mindset people. They want to go into every detail of everything. I just want the bottom line. And so it's easy for me to offend somebody who's more detail oriented because I keep pushing for the bottom line, and they very carefully put all of this together and they're going to present it all to me. And if I don't recognize that's part of their communication style and work to meet them part way and hopefully encourage them to meet me part way, then I just offend and I rub people the wrong way. And that's really hard to get over that to build trust because they assume I don't care about all the work that they put into this. And the details are important to them, so important. And details are important to me, but not at the depth that they are for this person, but to not recognize that is important and valuable to them. And for them to also be able to understand that for me, the bottom line is the most valuable piece of everything that they've done. And they couldn't get to that without all the detail. And so that piece of the communication thing, I think, has been one of the things I know that really was transformational, Jen, for you and I, when we were first together and trying to learn how to communicate, even just understanding the speeds at which each other communicate, who wants details, who wants big picture, but understanding that's a communication style. That's not something they're doing to offend.
Right.
But if you don't understand that, the natural assumption is they don't care about all the work I just did. Yep. That's going to shut an employee down or a partner down really fast if we don't understand that this is a communication style and a strength style thing, not some intent to offend or intent to ignore what's valuable to the other person. And I think that's a big piece that you almost have to have that foundational piece in place before you can really start going deep. Because otherwise you just keep running into that component. What was one of the big ones with you and I, Jen, that we found?
So many.
So,
so many.
Internal versus external processing was a good one, but there was some others that were life-changing for us.
What I was thinking about when you were talking is how much you've taught me. And this has been really interesting over the years. Just spoiler alert for any of our employees that are listening to this. But I actually don't trust people easily at all. Like, it takes me a very long time to trust people. And so unfortunately, I tend to come at it from a non-trusting standpoint first. And it takes me a long time to finally really be myself with people. And you actually have very much the opposite. You tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. And the funny thing is, I would say the majority of our entire business, people thought we were the opposite. Mm-hmm. And so they thought I was the nice one and the one that was really on their side. And nope, that's not me at all. Really, but what you've taught me, back to the trust thing, and it's really helped me tremendously, is to go deeper. When you give the benefit of the doubt and you really look at, okay, is this just a communication style thing? Mm-hmm. Is this a strength style thing? Is this those other pieces?
Right.
I have been pleasantly wrong many times. Mm-hmm. And I have learned even about myself of, wow, I was taking it this way about that person, but it really is just, this is their preference. This is their strength. This is how they communicate. And I had put them in a particular category of somebody that was untrustworthy for whatever reason. Part of it is just I'm a really sensitive person, so I do have to be careful who I let in on a deeper level. Totally. But having those tools, having those pieces, that was a huge thing just in our partnership for me to learn that and grow from that from you. As far as our stuff we learned together, even that part of it with you and me, just it took me a long time to trust that you were real, that this was a real thing, that you were going to do what you said you were going to do and be who you said you were and all of those things. That's pretty personal, but that's the truth for me. It's changed me tremendously. Now I trust Ken, and it only took me 3 years to do that, where I think in the past, I think with you, it probably took me 7. That's growth, right? Yeah. It definitely is. And part of that trust is if you do give somebody the benefit of the doubt, yeah, you're risking getting hurt, but you're also opening up the possibility of something really amazing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's very true.
It's such a good point, right? Because in that situation, I put myself in your shoes. Either way you learn. You either learn that you not to trust them, or you learn to trust that pause for a fact that might bring something so much more than you would have ever got to before. And that's a self-awareness piece, right?
Yeah.
And when you can get into that space, because you all, even me, face that distrust or that self-defense mechanism almost is what I would think of it as. But either way you learn, because if you do get burned or you can't trust that situation, you got to look at it as an opportunity to learn from that, or it becomes something so much more than you ever thought it would be. So it's a win either way. Not to say you want to get burned or any of those things, but until you go that far, you'll never know until you do.
Right. Yeah.
So I love that win mentality.
Yeah, it is. And how much of the one thing that I've seen over the years too is that by you taking that stance of kind of depersonalizing, really giving opportunity for people to show who they are. Because like you said, if you take this route in business, if you take this route to say, okay, we're going to go this route of personal growth, being transparent, being clear of who we are, risking, being vulnerable. If we're going to take that route, it's going to be messy.
Right.
But to your point, Ken, there is some beautiful things that have come from that. I look at Michelle and how much she's blossomed, and now on our executive team and being here so long. And that was giving her space to grow. And not that I distrusted her, but you have to give people space to learn, to grow, to assume the best almost, really. Without it being naive, but you're basically calling them up into the best person they can be.
They might become better than what you could have ever imagined them to be if you would have kept that filter over them for too long. That's one of the truest gifts in leadership, is to create space and allow them to be them versus you
to create it and sometimes hold it, because sometimes it takes a little while.
It does.
So sometimes you got to hold it and take some of the hard knocks so that they have space to grow.
I know that you guys have both done that for me, and hopefully I've done that for you. That is also even as a partnership, whether it's a marriage or a business partnership or any of those things, when you're deeply committed to something, that is part of that commitment. As you're saying, I'm going to believe the best in you. I'm going to keep pushing for that. And I know this maybe is sounding very like touchy-feely, but that actually, I believe, extends to all of our clients. I really believe that. There is a belief when we take on a client that we are also doing that for them. Yes, we're doing their marketing, all of that, but as a partner, if we go into it believing the best in who they are and what they're trying to achieve, and we're hitting each other from that standpoint, we've had some incredible successes that I'm not sure would have taken place in other companies if you're just doing the day-to-day work versus that belief of, yeah, we believe you can make it. We want to partner with that. We want to be a part of that. We believe in what you're doing. And then they believe in us too. It just takes it to a different level.
Yeah. And the juxtaposition to that is if you do create space and you do, especially on the client side of things, you just have to know that you have to learn and move quickly when you do get hurt. Because guess what? We've also been hurt too in those situations, and we've had to come together and learn from it, assess it, debrief it, which that's something I get so proud of, is when we try something and we moved quickly and it didn't work, or that was a bad fit, and how quickly we come together because we have the better or the bigger vision of what we're doing here at Beacon, and we trust in the group of us, and able to learn from that and then protect ourselves and now have the right filtering system to not allow that mistake to repeat itself. Because I think there's plenty of times that people constantly repeat the same errors over and over again, and they don't actually deeply learn from it to protect themselves from that situation in the future.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Well, this has been an awesome back and forth on communication styles and how to build trust and allow to create space to trust in others and have that grow. And so I'm really excited for this executive series. I guess we don't even have a name for it. I think that's what we call it for the Beacon Ways, an executive series. And I'm just so excited. This has been such an awesome conversation.
Likewise, I would not want to do this without you guys.
Have you guys as partners, honestly. I'm very proud to be able to call out that these are my partners and we get to do business and build a team together every single day. Thank you for joining the Beacon Way Executive Session. New episodes drop every week. Make sure you never miss one. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.